Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, and today's show is presented by Manscaped. The 4th of July is right around the corner, and I want to make sure that your bald eagle is looking bald down there. And to help it out, go to manscaped.com, use code Raiders for 20% off, and you're going to be able to get free shipping on the best male grooming products out there. So coming up on today's show is the Raiders' perfect June plan. I have done videos in the past, Raiders' perfect free agency plan, Raiders' perfect draft plan, Raiders' perfect offseason plan. Well, the month of June is about halfway over, and I still think that Josh McDaniels, Dave Ziegler, could do a lot of things to help this team for the upcoming season. So essentially what I'm going to try to do here is make a 5-step blueprint plan for the Raiders to say, how can we crush the month of June? Let's go to the very first step here. It's cut players and create salary cap. When it comes to the Las Vegas Raiders, I believe after you look at minicamp, after OTAs, to me there is just writing on the walls with certain players that I do not see this team keeping / players that this team shouldn't keep. Do I believe that Amik Robertson is good enough to make a 53-man roster? Yes. Do I believe Malcolm Koonce is good enough to make a 53-man roster? Yes, I do. Unfortunately for them, it's a new regime, and they're not going to be able to make this team. So what I would end up doing is saying, hey, Amik, Malcolm, best of luck to y'all. We're going to move on from you right now. And I would cut these 4 players right now, which would save $5.44 million. And as it stands, the Silver and Black have about $3.67 million at the time that I am making this video, which then gives you $8.81 million. Guess what? You can then go out and start looking for free agents to sign. I'm going to give you some list of free agents that I would want the Raiders to sign. But friendly reminder, if you're wondering, why should I subscribe to the Raiders Report? Videos every day, live at least twice a week. We're an interactive channel. So I see Tony Gonzalez, Venom Sosa, PG2869, LI Raider 312 down in the comments. More subs equals more videos. It's 100%. And look at this. We got Tony Gonzalez here, one of our brand new subs. Shout out to him. Shout out to Sharif, Ray, Casey Ortiz, and then Ryan Brody. If you're a new subscriber here on the Raiders Report, you might see your name here on the show. And if you're not, get with the program. And for all the loyal people we do have here, take that link, send it to some Raiders fans. So since we're saving that money by moving on from some of those players, well, let's go out and let's sign some free agents. Now that mini camp's over, now that OTAs are over, you can go and you can start looking at some veterans to bring in. And if I'm going to bring in a vet, I would like for them to be on this team, maybe acclimated with some teammates a little bit, and then get them ready for training camp, which is near the end of July. Before I show you some of the free agents that I want the Raiders to sign, what's the Raiders Report all about? It's about giving the nation a voice. So this is going to be the pinned comment on today's video. Name a free agent that the Raiders should sign. You're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. After the ad, you're going to see my 6 names. So here we go. Let me know. The 6 names that I would go out and I would target if I was McDaniels and Ziegler. At edge, Kyle Van Noy. Obviously, you're not going to be able to sign all 6 of these players. If I was the Raiders, I would target 2 of them and say, okay, we have the money to now go out and get at least 2. If you want to go linebacker, Rashaan Evans, Anthony Barr. What about defensive tackle, Matt Ioannidis? You can look at him. Cornerback, Marcus Peters is probably the top name. And then the other name I'm going to throw out there is John Johnson. Put him at free safety, which then allows you, if you're the Raiders, with Marcus Epps, and then you could even use Trevon Merrick a little bit more as a box safety. If the Raiders sign any of those players, you better have your notifications on because we are instantly going live. And you're right, Trevon Merrick could potentially play in the box. And speaking of box, if you want that for Father's Day, you probably should go get your hands on some Manscaped. So, manscaped.com, code Raiders for 20% off and free shipping on all of the best male grooming products out there. Now, I don't know about you. When it comes to the 4th of July, my family loves a big bang. Pause. No, we're talking about fireworks. And if you really want to set the night in a big blaze, I'm telling you, your partner is going to love if you use all of the Manscaped products. Now, if you're wondering, all right, Mitch, how can I get my hands on some Manscaped products? Link for one's going to be down in the comments and in the description of today's show, manscaped.com. Use code Raiders. I also recommend the Perfect Package, which you can get for $87.99 with promo code Raiders. It comes with ball toner, ball deodorant, the Lawnmower 4.0, the most comfortable boxers that you will ever wear. I just think this, man. I can promise you, okay, the easiest way to celebrate the 4th of July is finishing it off with a big bang. I don't know about y'all. I also love all the other Manscaped products, so if you want stuff for shampoo, conditioner, stuff to make your body smell good, I mean, literally, the Weed Whacker, if you got some funky nose in your hair, I can promise you this, nothing's going to be happening that night. Studies show women care more about the way that you smell. And guess what? Down there can get stinky sometimes, especially on July. Look at this, July 4th. I didn't even put this together. Raider Ron uses Manscaped, so you should too. Let's go to the next perfect June plan here. I'm going to trade for a player, and I'm going to go bargain shopping here a little bit. It's Isaiah Simmons, the linebacker hybrid player from the Arizona Cardinals. And the reason why he's on this list is because Arizona is in fire sale mode. They're shipping off players. They don't want to try to win right now. He's in the final year of his contract, and I really, truly believe that you could get him at a discount. And if you trade for him right now, the Raiders, they would only owe him $3 million in 2023, and I showed you a lot of those free agents earlier on the show. I'll tell you this, I will take Isaiah Simmons over every single one of those other free agents. By trading for him, you might have to give him a new contract. I'm okay with it. Simmons was one of my favorite prospects when he first came out of Clemson. The problem was Arizona didn't use him correctly. And, you know, we talk about a lot of these different defensive schemes with the Raiders players, right? Like we've talked about the going from Paul Gunther to the Gus Bradley to the Patrick Graham. Well, the Arizona Cardinals have made Isaiah Simmons a linebacker. They have made him a safety. They have made him a cornerback. They have thrown him all over the place. And guess what? They haven't had a steady coach either, offense or defense, head coach, it doesn't matter. Last season, according to PFF, pass rush grade of 83.5, the coverage grade of 69.9. I really, truly believe that if you could add Isaiah Simmons, he is a more athletic version than Divine Diablo. And if you really want to create that versatility, Isaiah Simmons and Divine Diablo and Robert Spillane, that'd be a pretty solid linebacker room. When you look at 2021 compared to 2022, the numbers are here. He had a much better season this past year because they finally started to use him right. But there are not many players in the NFL that can literally play linebacker, corner, and safety. And he would be a great box safety in a Patrick Graham defense. There's no doubt about it in my mind. So if I'm going to say, all right, go out and trade for him, here's the trade that I believe it would take. Like if I was Arizona, I would consider this for the simple fact of if you're the Arizona Cardinals and you legitimately don't want to win football games this year because Kyler Murray's not going to be there. The guy that you're paying $50 million a year, I don't even think he plays this upcoming season. So what's a good way to make sure that you have one of the best picks, maybe the number one overall pick in next year's draft? You start trading away some of your other players, a player that you're not going to be bringing back already. So the Raiders, they get Isaiah Simmons. The Arizona Cardinals get a 5th-round pick in 2024. So who ends up winning this deal? I think both sides genuinely win it, but the Raiders get the more talented player. I'm going to type my LV, but if you are going to type ARI, at least give me your reasoning. Let's go to the next move here that the Raiders should do. They should trade Hunter Renfrow. And I know I'm going to get a lot of hate in the comments. I'm going to get a lot of hate out there. All I ask is this, at least hear my reasoning for why I'm going to trade Hunter Renfrow, because there's two big things that you need to get. First, obviously, is the money. If you're able to move on from Renfrow, you save $11.3 million. And if you do this, you could get a player or you could get draft capital. That draft capital could impact the team more in 2024, or get a player that does make a bigger impact on the defensive side of the football. The Raiders have already drafted and signed Renfrow's replacements, and you know, this is a good thing that the Raiders have, a good problem. They have a lot of talent on the offensive side of the football. But here is the second point that I'm going to make. The only way that I am going to trade Renfrow, so if McDaniels and Ziegler say, well, yeah, we'll trade Renfrow, but then we're going to add an offensive player. No, I don't want to trade Renfrow then. If Renfrow's going to be your guy and you don't trade him, he better get 100 targets this season, because that's the only way his contract is worth it. But if I could tell you that I know for a fact that they are going to use the Hunter Renfrow money to either go out and get defensive talent or use that money towards Josh Jacobs to make sure he's happy, I will sign off on that. If it's not going out and get more defensive talent, and if it's not allocating some of that money to make sure Josh Jacobs comes back, then I do not want to trade Hunter Renfrow. However, if I was running the team, I would move on from Renfrow and use that money for defense and use that money for Josh Jacobs, which then goes to my final plan here for June. You got to get the Jacobs ball rolling. When you listen to reports, when you listen to insiders, people who I have talked to close to the situation, it doesn't sound like McDaniels and Ziegler and Josh Jacobs right now are really having many conversations about getting a long-term deal done or getting Jacobs to sign that franchise tag. Jacobs must sign the tag by July 17th. If he doesn't sign it then the holdout officially is underway. If you were trying to win right now, you got to get Jacobs to sign that dotted line. Or you give him that contract extension. The contract extension that I would give him is the 3 years, $12.8 million a year, $22 million in guaranteed money. All I'm saying is, if you're going to have a quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo, if you're going to have a young rookie like Aiden O'Connell, if you are legitimately trying to win games this season, you at least got to get that ball rolling. And even more on top of that, I get that you don't have to technically get it done until July 17th. But with Saquon Barkley also in the mix here, and he's putting out a lot more stuff than Jacobs, I'm worried if Jacobs or if Barkley gets that deal before Josh, they're going to end up paying him even more money, which is something that I know this Raiders team does not want to do. Now, that was my 5-step perfect plan for the month of June for the Silver and Black. If you don't know, I competed against Jermaine Illuminor and Colt Miller, both starting offensive linemen for the Silver and Black in a Hot Wings contest that raised over $2,500 this past weekend. If you haven't seen the video, go check it out. You can look up on YouTube, Mitchell Rentz, Colt Miller, Jermaine Illuminor Wing Contest. It's also going to be in the description and in the comments of today's show. So one more time here. Here is my perfect June plan. I'm going to cut players right now that I already know aren't going to make the 53-man roster, create salary cap. I'm going to use that money to go out and target some veterans in free agency to lure them in right now. Because I know if I can lure in some veterans, if I can trade for an Isaiah Simmons, that might make other players want to sign up and play with this team this upcoming season. I love Hunter Renfrow, but I'm going to trade him and save that $11.3 million. I'm either going to add a starting caliber player on the defensive side of the football, or I'm going to use that money to allocate towards Josh Jacobs or going out and getting even more players on the defensive side of the football. And then you got to get the ball rolling when it comes to your star running back, Josh Jacobs. If you made it this far in the video, shout out to all of y'all. Make sure you tell the nation to subscribe to the Raiders Report.